That was a bad wreck.
Yeah. But old Ray, I think when they had his celebration up there and kind of a fly-in for him, they had a balloon up there and they tied it to a pickup or something. And he was gonna take a balloon ride and they got up there, he ate high and the darn rope broke, you know. And then the guy had to pull a rope to dump the thing and down they come. And he said that was his last balloon ride.
Well, there's a lot of weird stories about stuff like that, you know. Here, it's been quite a number of years ago, I kept hearing about a World War I airplane engine on the back of a World War I truck sitting over by Mound City. And everybody says, find the Ridge Road, and it kind of gave me an idea. Well, to me, a ridge road is on top of a ridge, right? You know? Well, we went over looking, couldn't find anything. We went back a second time. Remember Charlie Cooper? And old Charlie and I went over there. We're going down the road. Here's a guy working on a school bus. Who would know the country better than a guy on a, you know, driving a school bus? So we stopped and looked at him, said, hey, we're looking for the Ridge Road. The old boy sat there and looked at us kind of strange. He says, you're setting on it. Oh, great. And then we said, well, where's Harriman, I think it was the guy's name, said, where's his place? Do you know him? And he looked at us like we was nuts, and he said, fella, he said, you're setting on a ridge road, and that's his gate. You know, and how we got there. But that was an interesting deal, because we opened the gate and took off up the side of this, it was along the Missouri River bluffs, and this ridge road was right at the base of the bluff. And we wound up a little old path there and got up to the top of that hill. And there was, I don't know how many exact trucks there were. They were Collier motor trucks from World War I sitting in there, and supposedly this engine was going to be in the back of one of those trucks. I was just a week late. Some guy from Beatrice had come in and bought it. And but the stuff there, his home, just everything about it was so unusual. You know, you just can't imagine seeing a number of World War I trucks. The trees, the reason we couldn't find them from the air when we go looking, the trees had all grown up between the trucks and made a natural roof over them. You couldn't see them. And it was just a real interesting thing.
Another couple things I think interesting, we had a Blue Angel from Maryville. Well, he was from Bedford, or
Red
Red, but he flew with us for a while, and then he went in there, and so we have his information down there on that, because he sends a thing every year. He was a Blue Angel, then it'll be like 3 years, I think. And then also, a lot of you know Charlie Armstrong, you know, he flew President Reagan around. He was President Reagan's pilot, and he came from Maryville, which I always think was interesting. Joe gave him his first airplane ride, so we also have a picture down there for Charlie signed that he took his first airplane ride from Joe. But he flew through here one time and called us and said, I'll be in St. Louis in President's plane, if you want to come down. He took us to the President's plane. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was exciting. Yeah.
You know, tell some of the students that went ahead and established a career in aviation.
Yeah.
You used to have a lot of students.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, we can't remember
Well,
all.
you're telling us about the ones that were the bad legs, anyway. Let's tell you about the ones that went ahead and made an
We
aviation
had,
career.
every once in a while, we'll have one of these students pop back in and visit. We may not have seen this one kid for like 20 years, but he's been an airline pilot. Well, when he left here, he was going into computers at an airport, you know, at an airline. But here he's been, it was, I mean, he is first class, both took lessons from us. And then just the other day, one of the guys came in that flew with us, and he was a military pilot on one of these carriers.
Yeah, in Navy.
Yeah, he came back, brought us videos back when he was in the military there. He's not in the military now, of course. Came in and introduced his kids, or his wife took lessons with us, or was down there with us. So, but they just pop in out of nowhere. But there's a lot of them on airlines. We've had, well, tell them about Dove. I love Dove.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is Kevin's. He likes this story. Because this gal, her name was Dove, and she was kind of ornery. And she'd come in and she'd say, who's gonna fly with me today? And I'd say, I am. Well, she'd just give him hell, you know, just really get after him. And then next day she'd come in, she'd say, who's gonna fly with me? And one thing leads to another, and so we finally figured out that I was gonna fly with her on a dual cross country. And so we let her really do her thing, and then Kevin walked halfway to the airplane with her, and turned around and come back, and I went out to get in the airplane with her, and she just looked at me and says, oh, shit.
Well, she went to the FBI.
Yeah, and,
She wanted to take flying lessons, get her private license, and she flew for the FBI for years. Now she's on the ground, but she was a pilot.
yeah, Doug, was going to college out here, and when she applied for FBI job, they said you have to have a specialty. You can't get in without a specialty. And so she decided learning to fly would be a specialty, and it worked because she went and got her license, went up to the FBI. They made her pilot out of her, and she spent her time out flying around hunting bad guys. And one place she said she didn't like was California because they sent her out looking for drug deals in the area there. Said once in a while they come back with a bullet hole in the airplane. Somebody didn't like it.
And then Connie Younger went from here up to
Yeah.
Iowa. He's been up
Yeah,
there.
Connie.
College up there.
Yeah, we've had, all like Charlie Arms, Jerry Roby,
Wizard Airlines. And Jeff Hayden.
Jeff Hayden,
Just recently,
Dwayne Fouts,
well, yeah, but Cordell. David Gibson Cordell.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's one of the most recent ones that's gone into aviation, and of course got a lot of ag pilots, guys. Got them all over the place.
Larry Garrett.
Yeah.
yeah, Larry Garrett.
And Donnie Ripley from College Springs is the ag pilot for down in Texas, I think, or somewhere is in here.
Yeah.
Been down there for years. He flew with us, and
Did he ever come back up and work with you?
Not with me, but around Corinda area and Shenandoah area.
Yeah. I know that it was pretty dry down there a couple of years, and he came back up here for something to do. He normally stops down there and visits for a little bit each year he's up.
one of our pilots went into air traffic control at one time, many years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
So they've just gone into all kinds of
you know,
things.
that was Bob,
I can't remember his name, but I remember him.
Bob Williams.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
haven't heard from him in years.
There's a college teacher out here named Ed somebody, who did a lot of painting and stuff. He had two little boys, and they wrote, one of our fly-ins, they wrote with me. And I got a letter home there where they, their teacher, or their mom, or somebody wrote, thank you letter for flying, you know, and all this and that. And one of them ended up flying in the airlines, and the other was in the National Guard flying, I think. Farquhar, that's who it is, Farquhar, his boys.
We've got a lot of military pilots.
Yeah, Sean.
Sean Baker, you're from there,
Sean Baker.
he flew with
I
us.
got quite a kick out of that, in a letter there.
It's really amazing. We've had quite a few of the people stay in aviation. And it's just nice, you know, ever so often one of them stops by. Denny Sapp was one that went with the Blue Angels. Hadn't seen him for 10, 15 years, and he popped in the door one day and sat and visited for a little bit, and he was telling me all about his Blue Angel experiences. And like anybody else, he had some interesting turns to tell there. He told me one time that one big airport somewhere, he said he had the habit of taking off and getting up 100 feet, 200 feet, and going out and getting his speed up, and then just almost going vertical up into the formation where he's supposed to be. And he said one day he was really, as he said, he was really showing off, and he said he was just right down against the ground, and said he just missed this extra high fence post that went through his wing. So I imagine that would have been exciting.
we go through all these things.
First airplane ride I ever took was with Ray Shank.
Was it?
His niece was my school teacher in a little one-room school up there, and her husband was over in a prison camp in Germany.
Yeah.
And so she took all us kids up to Ray's little airport up there, and we took a ride. I remember the sign he had on the dash says, "Look around for other airplanes. A stiff neck is better than a broken one."
Yeah.
Doc Sears was a pilot.
Yeah, it's interesting, some of the older pilots, you know, they seem to enjoy their flying. We got too many regulations now, you gotta be careful.
You remember those two that landed out there on the farm that time?
That
They
was,
had 2 forced landings out there in 1 year. And the guy, oil man from
oh, yeah.
Wichita came in a Comanche and the thing started jumping around, the motor started running rough. He thought the prop was coming off of it. All it was one mag went bad. All he had to do was turn it off and it went on. The skirting to that, he landed in the snow and mud out there in the farm.
Well, there was one that landed up there on, right on the road,
Yeah, that was a little Mong Sport.
was it?
A little cockpit biplane. He was with a bunch of antique planes and they were coming. And I remember I went down and got him to come in and get some gas. He ran out of gas. And all these other guys are out there at the airport looking at the sky, wondering where he was.
Sitting down there waiting for it. Yeah,
That Comanche, we hooked a tractor on it. It was in the mud, you know, and we pulled it out on the road. And I think either you or somebody from St. Joe come up and fixed the thing, fixed the mag. He took off on the road, left his gear down so it wouldn't freeze. It was cold.
yeah.
And anyway, a month or 2 later, well, a little while after that, we got a box of grapefruit came in, thanking us, you know, for pulling him out. And then a little later, he pulled in there in the big old Riviera car and his girlfriend and show her where he crashed. And he was telling us he went flying down south and he landed in Alabama somewhere. And the guy said he'd check his plane over. And where we pulled that thing out of the mud, we cracked some rivets in the tail. And he just sold it right there on the spot.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a lot of stories about things that went on, and some of them aren't too nice, some of them were great, you know. Remember the Debonair that crashed down here by Funkin Center? And that was quite a,
Seen that.
that was quite a mess. But kind of one of those deals, one of the farmers down there called and said that he'd heard an airplane, said it would just roar like mad and then just sound like it was laboring as hard as it could. And said finally he heard a big boom and that was the end. He never heard it again. And it was raining cats and dogs here. And so as soon as it stopped raining, I got an old champ, flew down there, and there he was underneath the tree. And that there was a tree there, probably 25 feet tall, and he apparently came out of the clouds, and we just passed that tree, jerked the nose up so fast at high-speed stall, went right on down, drove all 3 wheels about that far in the ground, sheared them off, and then he went on across and hit some other stuff. And that was the end of that one. But,
You guys, a lot of you probably know Jack Donald, he's the one that built a big hangar out here.
yeah,
He was,
yeah, Donaldson built this hangar over here,
the first hangar out here was a little wooden shack.
right about where this is now. They, 1945, there was no buildings, they just had this one wooden shack, and they put a couple Cubs in that. And then as time went, they got the big hangars built, and they put everything over there. And then, as you didn't have enough hangar space to put all the Cubs in, you used to take them back in there and tilt them up on their nose and put one of these old wooden coat cases 24 bottle wood case, tilted up, and after it gets through a point, it'll set on its nose. And we just put this Coke case underneath the propeller and let them set. And you just take one back and set it up in the corner, another one up, set it in the corner, another one up, set it in the corner.
How many did you have in there? We had a picture of one.
We at one time could put 11 cubs in a east hangar over there.
It was really interesting seeing them all. Yeah.
And you just hope nobody touched it.
Yeah, right.
Dominoes. Well, I might, do you remember anybody, down there, Hugh Lyle?
Bill does. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
He had his hangar up there on, most everybody don't know where he lived, but his house and hangar was up on top of a hill. And he taxied down the hill, his runway was down the bottom where it was level. And, he was probably considered conservative because he had friends come in to see him, they'd land up on top of the hill so they wouldn't have to taxi up. From the bottom. I was really young, I guess, I remember.
Well, yeah, Hugh had a J3 Cup, and, one time, I've forgotten exactly how it all came about, but anyhow, I think if I remember right, he came up here and picked up a guy who rode back down to his farm with him, and then he was to bring the Cub back. Well, somewhere or another, when they landed down there, they managed to stick a fence post through the bottom of the left wing. You remember that? And then the guy took a fabric airplane, he took a knife, and he just trimmed the loose fabric off so it wouldn't be flopping around, flew it home with a hole about that big in the bottom of the left wing.
Tell them about the bamboo bomber you flew.
Oh, that was fun.
Every time they started, you had the fireballs out there.
Yeah, you know what a T-50 Cessna is? It was a old Malta engine, had Shaky Jake 245 horse radial engines in it. And I bought it and brought it home. And then decided we weren't gonna work on the thing. And I sold it to a guy up in, he was up in Minnesota. I can't think of the name of the town now. But anyhow, I had to deliver this thing to a tech shop or a place where they taught people to work on them. And the thing wasn't exactly the best shape in the world. It had a box spar on it and about a foot apart. And the water collected in the bottom of it and was rotting the whole bottom of the spar out. One thing led to another, and finally Ron Golf, who was here in the Golf drugstore,
And we rode with them.
yeah,
Out here.
they were gonna follow me up there in this old T-50 and bring me home. Well, we got off the ground, had trouble getting it started, one thing led to another, but we did get it started and got it started. And I was getting awful low on gas when I got about halfway up there and landed at a place and taxied up to the gas pump. Guy comes out and I said, need to put some gas in it, but I can't shut it off because it won't restart. Well, he walked over and looked it all over and he says, I won't touch that damn thing. He said, if you want gas in it, said you put it in it. And so, while I was in flight, they had an escape hatch on it, and the left pilot's window went out and around to where if something happened, you could open that and crawl out over the wing. And the fabric had come loose underneath it where they made a repair, so I had to open the window in flight, pull the fabric up inside, and then shut the window back down on it. And then it popped a big hole in the top of the wing just after the engine on the left side. And it was a pretty good sized hole. And after the guy saw that, he wouldn't gas it. So we got it all gassed and went on up to the place where we was going. I got out, it was in January and no heater in it, and I was about froze. And I went into their hangar and found a little room where it looked nice, and I was in there stomping my feet on the floor and trying to get warm and everything. And this guy came up, and stopped, and he was just leaning on the door, standing there looking at me. Pretty soon I said, hey, if I'm in your way, I can get out of here. And he said, no, you're not bothering me. I said, I just wanted to see what somebody would look like that would fly. It really makes you feel real good.
They used to get out there and they start that thing, and they get out there with the fireballs, and they stand there, one time he shot it backwards, got all over himself, when he started that thing, and
Is that days before there was duct tape?
Well, there was a lot of airplanes with duct tape.
you know, there's that guy down in Arkansas used to pick up planes up here whenever, and find a damaged plane or something, I swear, that's what he did, he